First, tell me as much as you remember about Russia.
Yeah, much.
Or your earliest memories.
The earliest memories was war. That was one of my earliest memories, It was always war. Whenever I was there, it was war. I know we were 10 kids, and my father was in this country. And after he went away to this country, my older 2 brothers, they were taken to the service. There was a war, so they took them to the service. And
how old were they?
One was 27, one was 23.
And you were how old?
I was 9 years old. And they took them away, I was left with the rest of the little kids, a little bit older than myself, And they took me away to the service. And then my brother, the 3rd one, got of age, and they also wanted to take him to the service.
What are the names?
One was Laser.
He was the oldest?
He was the oldest. And one was Itzy.
Uh-huh.
And the 3rd one was Harry, Herschel.
Uh-huh.
And they took the two away, and they, of course, they were away for some months, and then Mama heard from the news that they were injured, they were injured in the war. And they were in the hospitals far away, which my mother couldn't come to see. And then...
Do you know where they were in the hospital?
They were way far away from...
You know what town, what city?
They were away in Ades, I think it was. No, not it wasn't. It must have been Ades, yeah.
What city did you live in?
I lived in Palana, Polina Gaberni, Palana.
Where is that? Near?
That's near Rovna, near Shepetovki, what's supposed to be, little cities, And we would live in there in Palana. And of course, my 2 brothers were sent home for leave because after they were in the hospitals, and they came home and they got very sick. And didn't take a year that the older one died, and a half a year later, the next one died. And then they took my 3rd brother away in the service, and he didn't want to stay there.
Which one is this now? What's his
name?
Ashton.
Yeah, he didn't want to stay there because he knew that my mother was left with little kids, and he was supposed to be the provider to help her out. So he came running home, and my mother was trying to hide him.
How old was he at this time?
At the time must have been about 17.
Uh-huh.
So my mother was trying to hide him, and sure enough, they came. Those big soldiers with the guns looking in the cellars, and they found them.
They came into your house?
My house.
How many?
I must have been about 6. And they found him in the cellar. First, before they went under the cellar to look for him, we had a dog. The dog started barking. Mm-hmm. So my mother says, oh, here they come. So my mother, and 3 little girls, what was left already after, were sitting near my mother. And she heard the dog starting to bark. He was in another room. So then she says, they're coming for us. And the dog, we hear a shot, and it killed the dog. They killed the dog. His name was Yasha. They killed the dog. He was such a beautiful dog. He was watching over us. They killed him.
When they were coming?
They were coming.
Did you know they were coming for Herschel, or did I think they were coming for something?
We thought they were just coming in to investigate who was in the house. And sure enough, they looked after they killed the dog. They found Herschel in the cellar there. They took Herschel away from us. And then, as they walked out from the cellar, my mother was sitting in the kitchen that was burning a little piece of a candle. Mm-hmm. And we were sitting cuddled up near my mother. One soldier comes in with a gun, and he sees us sitting near my mother, cuddled up, little kids, little girls. He takes the candle, he blows it out, and he walks out, and he leaves us in the dark. And he took away, actually. And my mother was running, crying, but they took him away. We were all sitting and crying. We didn't know what's going to become of Herschel, Then finally, it goes away about a month. We didn't hear where Herschel was. All of a sudden, in the middle of the night, Herschel's knocking on the windows, and there comes Herschel. We said, what are you doing here? He says, I ran away. I said, what are you talking about? How did you run away? They'll come for you. Sure enough, they came for him. And they grabbed him again, and they hit him. And they gave him about 20 lashes. And he was sick that he couldn't walk down. They kept him there. He was sick, and they kept him there till he got better, because he was a young kid taking about 20 lashes in his body, and as a naked body. And then he sneaked away again. After they kept him there, he sneaked away again. And he started traveling. He met a Christian man who was going with a horse and team. And he says, where are you traveling to? And he was telling me he's traveling to Poland or whatever. He says, can I lay under your wagon? And you pull me and get me out there. And he must have given the man something or what. And they brought him in Poland. They brought him in Poland. There we came in. And they was afraid of him. They thought he was a Bolshevik, you know. Bolshevik is like,
like the soldiers?
Like the soldiers. And they didn't have no war in Poland. They only had it in my city.
How do they know he was Russian?
Because he escaped from them.
Oh, so he still had the uniform?
He didn't have the uniform. He changed some other things, but he said that he didn't live there. And he had to be coming in some place. He didn't have no money. Nobody would let him in. So he went over to a place where all the refugees come. And he says, he's a refugee, but he came from there. Where are you? What's your name? He says, the only thing I can give you is my father is in America. And I've got his address where he is in America. But it was war. So we couldn't correspond with each other. I've got war in Russia. But we had the address. We had Pa's address was in America.
Where was his... Do you know what his address was? Where? New York? Massachusetts?
No, Massachusetts, in Boston.
He was in Boston?
In Boston, yeah. My father was in Boston. So they called from the Ayas. There was a Ayas where they took in people that came traveling, that they were traveling to America. So they took him in there, and they were riding in there because they had to give him a passport that he is in Poland. After all, he didn't live in Poland. He's not a citizen of Poland. So they wrote to my father. My father heard that he was in Poland. My father, there was a man in Boston that was carrying. They paid him so much, and he should go in Poland to look up some refugees that came from the old country there. So they gave him money. So my father found out that that man is going to Poland. So he gave $100, and he says, there's a son of mine in Poland.
$100?
$100. He says, and give him the $100 and let him try and send for the other family what he left behind.
How did your father have $100? In those days?
In those days, my father saved up $1,200. The bank closed. And the bank closed in this country. That's why he didn't have nothing. He saved that for sending us out. To send us out for us all. But the bank closed, and my father got stuck with that money. But evidently my father was working. He was a tailor in a fancy place. So he sent $100 to my brother. So my brother quickly was in Poland. So he says, well, he'll try to pay someone to go back to where he comes. He was afraid to go back because they'll grab him. So he paid a man so much what he had. He should bring out 2 kids. At least 2 kids. So would they bring up me and my sister Sarah to Poland. When they brought us in the boat, so my brother brought us into the Ayas. And he says,
so who brought you from Russia to Poland?
A man that they paid money, that he was able to bring the refugees back and forth. He could steal them out.
The government allowed this? Or it was secret?
He was also secret. It was secret. The man was a secret guy. That as long as he paid the money, he knew how to handle the people, and he knew. So he came to the old country where I lived, and he came to my mother, and he says, you'll have to give us 2 kids of yours. There were 3 little girls, because Herschel is in Poland, and he's got enough for taking out 2 kids. And as soon as your husband will send out the rest of the money, we'll be able to take you out from Polona. So he took Herschel, brought us into Poland, and then Herschel started working with there was immigration in Poland, that they took out people, so Herschel came there and he says, listen, my father sent me so much money, he's going to send me out more, but you got to get out my mother with another little girl that's left there. So, and he brought her daddy, that He already got two in Poland, and he's getting Mama out of there. And sure enough, that company that was in Poland that was taking interest in the Jewish people, like a Tia Falentafis, whatever. They said they tried to sneak out my mother and my sister. But before they sneaked me and my sister out, we were going on waters after here because my sister was older than me, so she could go during the night. We could hear soldiers laying in the fields singing Russian, and we had to go through a big ocean, in water. So one guy the man who took me was carrying me on his shoulder, and my sister was already older. She could make the water till they passed by the water. They shouldn't catch it. And when he heard trucks going, he told us to lay in the grass, lay in the grasses and keep quiet. Tell me we went through so much hell to come to this country, And
what language did you speak?
Jewish. Exactly. I couldn't speak no Russian because there was mostly Jewish people in the city where I was, and then I was too young to speak Russian because that's all they brought me up as Jewish. Now they speak in Russia, everyone.
But when in that town that you grew up in, were all the Jewish people forced to live together there, or is it just happened that they settled there?
It just happened that they settled there, because there was other different little cities like here in Sharon, Kenton, But we were just living in that little city. We had our own home, and so we lived there. But then my brother took out my mother. And about 2 weeks or two, because as soon as he gave some money in Poland there to say that he's got a father who's going to send us out some money. So we got in Poland, and sure enough, my father went to the immigration in America here. There was an immigration that they call it a yas. It's like an immigration that you pay in money, they give you tickets, and you can come into this country, if your father was a citizen. My father wasn't even a citizen yet. When we came to this country, he became a citizen, but he wasn't even a citizen. But my mother's brother was a citizen. He wasn't in this country. So
your mother's brother is?
Benny that's living 109 years old. He was 108 in December. We don't remember, but if you talk to my Harry, he says he's 110, but he's 109. My Harry knows, So that's when we came to this. Yes, we were in Poland, We were about 2 years till Papa could get us the visa. We had to have a visa.
What did you do for 2 years in Poland?
Well, we lived there. Papa sent us money each time to keep it up,
Was it safe for you?
There was safe. There was no war, We rented a little apartment, and we lived there.
So that was you?
And Paul, me, and Auntie Lily, and Auntie Sarah, my mother. Harry stood in another place. Harry stood with some boys, I suppose, and we were there, and about 2 years, And then Pa sent us out tickets to come to America. So when we had to come to America, you got to show papers, you got to show everything. The Pa sent us out the tickets. And we came to America.
Did you come into New York?
We came into New York, and I was silent,
Yes.
there. And
did you hear about the Statue of Liberty before you came to New York?
Yes. How
did you feel when you saw it?
We were all crying. When the boat came in and that Statue of Liberty was standing, we were crying, and they kept us there over the water, We wasn't right away off, It's an island,
Yes.
And then they had to give you some stuff, from the ship, When you go from the ship, they sterilize you, you shouldn't bring any germs, And then they called up to my father, that the ship is coming in. So my father and Uncle Benny came to New York to Hillis Island, and my father had to show papers that this is his family that's coming in from there. And I'll never forget, my mother was carrying a tea kettle, laying down on me a tea kettle from Poland. In America, it's not tea kettles. And they aimed at a tea kettle, they aimed up all the things, I was the one who carried it, And we all came in, and it was like a judge in a big court, And they brought us in that room. And then my mother was sitting in, and she says, they're going to call in Jewish. She says, they're going to call in your father. And she says, you don't remember him. I remember him through a picture. That's what Mama was showing us throughout the
How old were you when he left?
I must have been about 4 years old, or maybe less than that.
I
don't even think I was 4 years old. Pa says he remembers me laying with a bottle, drinking a bottle. I was very young, so I didn't remember him. So, but she showed pictures because he sent over something. She says, "There's going to walk in your father," and she says, "You act like as your father because he's taking us out of this country." Mm-hmm. Well, anyways, he walked into Harrisville, and he walked in with a big watch and chain, all over, a gold chain.
He was a wealthy man?
He wasn't a wealthy man, but while he was around this country, he saved up some money, and he dressed himself with a nice gold chain. And he walked in, and they called him over, and he says, "You have your family here, point us out the family." And he pointed out his family, sitting near Mama.
Were there a lot of people then?
Oh, a lot of people. Sure, but they took each one separately. So, they were, because each one had a different, they went a different family. Like, I went to father with my mother. Mm-hmm. There are some sisters went to sisters, or brothers went to brothers,
I see.
So, but he,
So, did your father have to look into a room with hundreds of people?
No. They only had to they take one of his family at a time. Like, my father's name was Mr. Sam Aaron, Maron. So they called that Sam Aaron. They brought us in a different room. And there, my father was sitting, and they were sitting like a judge. And he says, "Well, do you know this family?" He says, "Yes, I sent for them. Here's the tickets and everything, and I'm showing everything." Well, he says, "Well, then that's all right. That's your family." He says, "Now you can take them home, And then he started taking us home. Oh, Jesus. And then we came to this country. What can I say? It was such a beautiful country. Even today, even it's better today, but it isn't. Because, something then they registered me in school.
But wait a minute. You went from Ellis Island and you went right back to Boston?
Yeah, right to Boston.
You didn't stay any time in New York?
No, never. As soon as we came into New York, he took us right to Boston.
How did you go?
He took us by train, Oh, sure, he took us by train.
How long was the trip?
Oh, the trip must have been about 8 hours or so by train. It didn't take us long. Then, he brought us over to South Station, I think it was. In South Station, I think he brought us over. And then he took us home by train to the West End.
Really?
The West End, yeah.
Did you have all bags with you and suitcases?
Not too much, because we didn't have much. Each one was carrying a bundle, like they rushed and came with a little bundle. Each one, there wasn't much to carry,
And he spoke English by now?
He spoke English by now, yeah, but he spoke to us Jewish because he knew we could understand English, So he spoke Jewish to us, and he brought us in, and he had already a flat for us. He rented in the West End a flat, 3-4 rooms.
Where is that?
In Allen Street.
What street?
Allen.
Allen Street.
Allen. Allen
Street. Is it still there?
Still, no. Now they throw it in the West End. They built over the whole West End. Now the West End became so beautiful. But you couldn't afford to live in the West End. Years ago, you could have afforded to live in the West End. Papa is paying $53 a month rent. Yes. But now, we lived right near Massachusetts General Hospital, right facing the Charles River. Beautiful, beautiful.
How many years did you live there?
Oh, geez, we lived there a good many years, because I got married from there. I was 19 years old that I got married from there.
So how old were you when you came to New York? When you came to this country?
I was about 12 and a half years, because I came in December, and in July is my birthday, see?
December what?
In 1922, we came in 1922. Mm-hmm. That's right, 1922 we came to this country. So then we came, we were very, very happy here. And we liked it here. And we went to school, Of course, the younger ones, my sister Lily and I, started going to school. And they take us to special English. Special English scholars, they teach you how to speak English. They don't teach you how to read or write. Mm-hmm. But they tell you, like, this is a chair. Now in Jewish, it's a bencher. Now you would know. This is a chair. You're sitting on a chair. And they have such a patience, elderly women, but they knew that we were all foreigners. There was a lot of them. We wasn't the only ones.
Did they group all the Jewish-speaking ones together, or did you have some Jewish ones, some German, some Russian?
No. Everybody went together. Well, it was Russian. It was mostly Jewish people that I remember that I went with, because in the ship, while going to this country in the ship, Oh, God.
Tell me more about the ship.
Oh, yeah, but the ship was, something here. And Larry was a big boy in the ship, because he was with the men. Because the men stood separately and the women were separately, So in the ship, I was the only one, that was well. My sister, the older one, got sick. My other little sister, Lily, also got sick. Yes, when we came into Island Island, when we came into Island, my poor sister Lillian, all of a sudden, they they found a red birthmark on her neck, and they say they're not going to let her into this country. Well, we were crying. What do you mean they don't let her in this country? They have to take her in a hospital and see whatever else, disease or something, whatever it is. Well, they took her into an Isle Island there. They took her into a hospital, and they told her that they got to take off all her hair. They got to remove all her hair. Electrozatie, they call it. Electrozatie, I remember. Took off all her hair, and then after they took off her hair, and they said there was no germs, they kept up for a couple of weeks in the hospital. Then they sent her back to us. I had to meet her and everything. They took her away. That's right. See, they took her away.
Wait, so you mean you all went up to Boston first?
Yeah,
and
she was left.
Island.
We left her on Ellis Island. We were broken. My mother was ready to die. Why? How can I leave her? How can I leave her? And they guaranteed that. And they said to her, if we're not going to take care of her now, then we left to send her back. Now, who did we left in Russia? Nobody. So the mama was afraid. The mama consented that they should do it. And then they sent her home. There was nothing wrong after they took up all her hair. But they grew her back, Sure. But we had such a battle. And anyways, we came to this country, started going to school, me and her, and they start teaching us about the English. And then after they start teaching us what they were talking to us, so we could remember, because, something, and they say, you go, it means you're back and forth, you stay, and putting words in your mouth, English, it's very, very hard because you don't know, So, and then we learned that for about a year, I think, or so, till they got it in. Then after we learned that, then the teacher came in and started teaching us the ABC, and the ABC, after I was like almost 13 years old, I was good, they put us in with some American kids that were just beginners, And
this is now in
America, in Boston.
In Boston.
Yeah.
What school? What town?
It was in Elm Street. There was a school in Blossom Street, the big school there, the William Blackson School. I was calling it. I remember. And then we went to school, and believe me, as soon as I started to be able to read a little bit or to write a few words, still, I said, I'm so glad that I'm in this country. American children gotta kiss the ground that they're born here. Well, I don't know, I gave them that piece of paper, they collect that piece of paper, you can write whatever you want if you can write. I scribbled that. Then all of a sudden the teacher comes in, the principal, and they go, who was Bertha Marilyn? Who was Bertha Marilyn? I raised the hand, they come up, raised the hand, call me out. They said, can you read the piece of paper? I said, no, there was a whole bunch of American kids already, so we were all starting to cry. I said, well, I just came from the old country not long ago. I see what a wonderful country this is. And all the American kids should lay down on the ground and kiss the ground that they were born here, because they don't know what it is to be born in the old country. How I got here and how I suffered to come to this old country. And it was so true, because I loved it, and I still love it, because no matter how bad it isn't bad, because you don't know what we went through and how we went through. Starvation. Mama used to cook up a little cereal she used to buy. So she used to put up for 3 or 4 kids, little scoops and you used to sit, and eat it, and to keep alive. When I was must have been about 8 years old, there was another woman that had 2 small children. So I used to run in, I used to like kids. She said, you going to play with the kids? He says, yeah. So she said, I'll give you dinner because you're playing with my 2 kids. Because they were better off than we were, because we didn't have no father, so who was going to provide for us,
How did your mother have income if your father and your uncle
didn't have no income? Believe me,
So how did you eat?
Mama used to sell whatever Pa gave her when she was a young girl. When he gave her a beautiful shawl, when she was courtship with him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So she went away, and she went walking for miles and miles where all the Christian people were living. And she'd come in there and say, "Would you want to buy it? Or could you give me some flour?" They had flour. They had other things. There was farms. And they used to give her the flour. She used to come and bake some bread. And bake up a whole bunch of bread in the oven. And then she gave about 8 breads. She'd say to me, "Bring in the next dog bread. They didn't have nothing. They haven't got nothing to give. Remember, we haven't got nothing to give it to them. Maybe next week I can sell something else." That's how she used to sell things. Then she had a couple of sisters also in the country. They were in business. And the fruit, they had a market, like they were sitting in the streets selling things. The sisters, 2 sisters without husbands, they used to send over Mama. They didn't have no kids. They used to send over to Mama to keep Mama out for the kids because she knew Mama was such a big family. But we didn't have nothing.
Do you remember your grandmother?
It's very faintly, very faintly.
Or grandfather? Or
No,
either of them?
I don't remember no. But the grandmother, I just remember just very faintly. The other, my sister, of course, they were older. My brother remembers them, but not me, not Lillian.
How many was your family, the married family, in Polovna?
In Polona.
Polona for many years?
Oh, yes, because look, she raised up so many kids. She raised up a son.
I mean, many generations back?
Oh, yes, she had many generations, but I don't remember. She had a mother there, a father there. My mother had a father, a mother there. And she had a grandfathers, and she had a lot. She was raised up, that was from generation to generation. She was raised up there, my mother, sure. Never went out from the city, all the time in the city.
What was your mother's maiden name?
Ethel.
Ethel?
Yeah, sure, that was like the Ethel Lou's wife. His named Ethel too, but this was my mother's name was Ethel. Yeah, and my father's name was Shalik.
But what about the last name?
My mother's name? Yeah. I didn't remember it. My Harry would remember it, sure. Winnico, I think. Winnico. I think it's Winnico because Uncle Benny changed it here for Wensky. So it was Winnico, I think. Yeah, Winnico. Yeah. Because he changed it for Wensky. I know that Mama's name the maiden name was Ethel Winnico. And that's all I remember what like that, everything was...
What about aunts and uncles in Polona?
Oh, there was a lot of aunts. There was one Chaisur.
And they all stayed there?
They all stayed there till they died. When we went away, they killed them. They didn't die. They killed them. Chaisur and what's his name? The other one, Gittel. That's 2 sisters of hers. She had a brother, Velvo, my mother, that they died there. And
so that means that you've got...
it's about, my goodness, 3, 4 generations.
Well, that means that you've got cousins there who have grandchildren that are my age then, right?
Well, they live, but they're not living. Because the war was going on, they killed them.
They were all killed? The whole
all
family? Well,
killed.
how do you know if you were here?
Everyone killed. Because we received Uncle Benny. Uncle Benny was married in Russia.
Oh, he was?
Yeah, he was married in Russia. So he left his wife. I answer. He left his wife, and he went in with a son. No?
Come sit.
Sit down. What's the matter? You can't keep your head up. What happened with the head? Maybe you'll eat some. Yeah. I don't know, maybe I gave you it last night or something. But anyway, Uncle Benny was married, see, in Russia. And he had a son, Itzy, a wonderful good son. I remember him when I was little. And Uncle Benny went away to this country. When he came to this country, he had a mother in Russia, And this is my mother's mother too, because Uncle Benny's like a brother. So the mother saw that Uncle Benny's wife was starting to keep company, going around with someone,
While he was here?
While he was here. So the mother quickly sent a letter to Uncle Benny, telling him that his wife is keeping company. So Uncle Benny believed his mother so much, that he went and he sent a divorce to his wife in Russia with a son. The son grew up and he wanted to come to America because he knew he had a father here. And he wanted to come to America, but the war came in, so they couldn't come into America. But then my brother Harry heard, my brother actually heard that they killed his son there, that son, Uncle Benny's son.
He was killed in the war, or he was killed as a prisoner?
Because the war was going on there, and they killed people. They was just killing people. They killed everybody that was there left. They killed everybody that was left there. They killed. There wasn't one survivor there. If we wouldn't have gone out in time, or he wouldn't have gone, they would all be killed. They were flying airplanes for no reason at all and throwing bombs. Whoever was in the streets, they were running for shelter, and whatever got killed. So that's why I know that nobody was left there from our family. Nobody was left. And now it's about 55 years that we're in this country. No, 1922. It's 1970. 57. See, 57 years. So who would expect there? But we were lucky. We had a father. We came to this country. Otherwise, we would have never been alive. And that was the luck that I came to this country.
Not only you, me too.
Yeah, we were all lucky. Mama said I had such a wonderful children in this country. That's why I kept on saying to Pa, he was a hard worker. I kept on saying to Pa, I didn't have the education because I came already here, and I would have my children. I wanted them to have education. And he was with me. We didn't like when your father kept keeping company so early because we liked the girl, we loved her, but we wanted him to go to college, because Lou went in the government, but still he was the older boy. We could still send him to college. So Melvin kept on saying, I'll go to night college. Yeah, I'll get a degree in night school. And the girls didn't leave him alone. The girls used to call, even those years, my God, and he let it go like that. Until today, I'm sorry, because Mama, it isn't because he hasn't got the education, it isn't, but maybe if he would have had a degree, he wouldn't have to lay there in the place. Now he says to me, Ma, I made a mistake, I'm there for such a long time in the place where he's working 20 years,
yes.
And in 20 years, what did he gain there? And I take Paul, every 2 years he gets himself a different job, but they give him higher pay.
Listen, I'll tell you something, between you and me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I prefer my Mel to Paul.
Oh well, listen, sure. He makes different. Listen, he's different. He's got a certified accountant, Paul, and he's making a lot.
But with him changing jobs and so forth.
Yeah.
That's not so wonderful all by itself.
You went bankruptcy.
He had a good job.
So what kind of good job is that, huh?
Yeah. Well, company. He was at last that he did very good there. But now he's working another place and he's not happy neither there. Don't kid yourself. Because when he went in, they had 20 stores, or 19 stores, now they got about 28. And he's doing all that work. And he's doing it for the same, there's almost 2 years that he's there. And he's doing it for the same, work.
Same pay.
And things are going up high. They didn't give him any. So he's not very happy, and I imagine he's going to ask for a raise. He asked for a raise. So he's not very happy because he says he deserves more because he's taking care of the responsibility for taking care of so many stores, He's an auditor, and he's got to know what's going on. So, I don't know what's going on.
Go ahead.
So anyways, I used to come home, I used to want to cry, but then I said to myself, when am I going to cry? I'm not a baby. After all, I did that. I raised 2 boys, I says, listen, what's the use? And he used to come home. He used to stay and wash the diapers. He used to, you see. And Melvin too. Melvin helped me too. He was already the oldest child. He helped me to ink, to this. They made it easy for me, But that's how I went through till I was going to have the baby. Yeah, when I was by time I was going to have the baby, So when they told me the 5th of June, So I said to myself, when they tell you the 5th, sometimes you go before, sometimes you go a week after. They can't exactly tell like that. So anyways, his brother comes from the one that lives in California now. Used to live in Dorchester. So he came to see me and him. And then he says to him, would you like to take a walk to my mother? To see his mother. His mother lived in Dorchester. They both didn't ride and both took a walk to see his mother. And when I were there, all of us sat and I go around the house. Both boys were playing in the street. I feel I'm getting pains. I said to myself, oh my God, I'll give a call to my sister. My youngest sister lived next door to me. I give a call to Lillian. Barney went away. And I don't know. I says, I got terrible pains in my back. And I don't know. Oh, she says, my God, let me call. Let me come back. Well, call right away to my, they just walked into the mother. And I says, oh yeah, I don't know, I was in pain. They came right, didn't take no time, they came back. I had a suitcase packed, nailed, everything. And they quickly taken the suitcase, and the suitcase opens by all excitement and start falling out things, and I put them in the bag. And they rush me into the hospital. And he brings me into the hospital, so he says so he brings me into there's a chair right away, a chair standing. They take me in the chair and take me out to the living room. So he figures it'll take me 4 or 5 hours because I don't have it so fast, you know. So he says, so he wants to walk away. So the girl that's in near the desk there starts banging on the window to him, come over here. He goes over back. She says to him, listen here, you men, run off. She says, your wife just delivered a baby girl. He says, why? You couldn't believe it. Because listen, they tore my kishkas down, you know, after they were working on me so often that they didn't already there.
She had an easy case with her.
Oh, I had an easy case with her, but she was the easiest one to have. When he heard that girl, he couldn't believe it because he kept on talking to him, a boy. He figures, all right, boys, he loves the boys, but nevertheless, he wanted a change. But that was to have the girl. And I had a lot of fun. She was a good girl, you know, and she minded like all the children. She minded me. She did everything. She went to school, and I raised a nice family, which I'm very, very happy, let me tell you. Because, you know, like I say, I'm the richest woman in the whole world, me and him. I keep on telling you.
He's the richest woman in the whole world, too.
The whole world. Because, you know something, money is not everything, Mama. I have richness as the children and my grandchildren. This has complete my whole life. This late life, as long as you live through a day, you feel thank God all right. You said, thank you, God, for that day. And that's all. I'm not asking for much more. I only want to have pleasure for my children and the grandchildren and praying for them it should come easy their life because his life was very, very hard. So I don't want my children's life to be hard, which I see, thank God, knock on wood, that it isn't so. Because thank God, you know, Lou's doing his work, Nell's doing his work, and he raised, you know, 3 beautiful sons, good ones as gold.
Of course.
Each time, you know, something honest to God. Because each time he comes in, Melvin, and he brings in something to me, he brings in things. I says to him, you know something? Because you were always good to me and to your daddy. You always respect us. Your children is going to respect you. And you know something, my king, no matter where you'll be, no matter what you'll do, you should always have your parents in mind because your mother and him made a beautiful, wonderful couple. And thank God they're living happy. As much as I can see it, they're both happy. And to me, I'm thankful to God and you children too. Listen, you're young. Good things are going to come to you, Mom. It's got to come because it's got to. You wait, you'll see. It's going to come to you. And thank God, listen, Lee waited. You got married and it's going to be 7 years. It's going to have a beautiful home. Maria, you like the home? Isn't it beautiful?
Right.
I think it's beautiful. And thank God for that. You can swing it. And you know, and she says, I said to her, when are you going to quit work? And I said to her, she's probably the 1st of June. I said,
the baby is due the 10th?
The 10th, after the 1st of June, Bobby. Because she says, I feel good. My work is not a hard work, she says. And I feel, and it's one thing about her, you know, she can hold a dollar. She is not a spender. She comes from parents, I suppose, they're so tight that, you know, I give her credit. That's how she can hold. Because, you know, something, when you do want to go out, and like young people today, and you can't save no money today. But she's contented and she's trying to, and I give her all the credit in the world. Because, listen, she got Lee that way, you know, that he's with her. Because I can see when they went traveling, they took along a refrigerator, they took along things, and they are not around the restaurants because it costs. So they're very happy, that both of them. We are happy to see them. And believe me, when they come to me, I'm in heaven when they walk into me because they don't forget me. To me, it means a lot. Because after all, like I say goodbye to Daddy, look at Gary's in college. He sends me a letter, how's Graham? So now you, Bobby. It's just, you know, a few words, but he's got schoolwork to do. What's bothering Gramps? You take care of your parents. But still, when they think here that they have a grandparent, that means a lot to grandparents. It means a lot. To the kids, it doesn't mean nothing. But it means to me a lot. And when I get your letter, how many times I carry it around my pocketbooks? 20 times I read it over. And whenever your father comes in, I give him the letter. Your mother comes in, she's in quills. That's the pleasure we have. And I'm not asking for anything more. My girlfriend, I got a friend here that I know for 55 years. She says, Bertha, 55 years since I came to this country, I knew her. She lived in the same city where I lived, you know. But there we didn't play. 57. But there we didn't play. Here we became friendly, close, because she said, Bertha, you know what keeps you alive? You know what keeps you going? I said, well, she said, your children and your grandchildren. I said, you're right, Esther. They're all my life. And the same with him. When we hear from you, if I'd only be a rich grandmother, my God Almighty.
You don't have to be a rich grandmother.
Yeah,
who wants to be a rich grandmother?
Mama, but it would be a help. I would give you towards the year end.
Look, if I was a rich grandson, it would be a help too. I'd help you out too.
Yeah, right, Mama. But you know something. The thing is, as long as you're going, when I hear that you're trying to go by, because you live until, after all, $290 a month rent. My God Almighty, where's your food? You gotta live on something, and you look all wonderful. You manage everything, and each time I get up call your father, did you hear from Brad? Oh ma, I took him out. I took him out for dinner. I took him out. I spoke to him. Ma, he looks great. Ma, he looks great. Every time I talk to him, the first thing I jump up is ours bread and go out my mouth. Bread and bread and bread and bread. And listen, and he's a fine boy that handy, tries to make a few dollars. We gave him away the car. He says, he, honest to God, have pleasure. No, what do you think? The car cost him $200 already. Don't kid yourself.
Yeah, everything costs.
Everything costs, you know. I could have sold the car. They wanted to give me $200. So I said, I didn't know. He was in the hospital. So my machinist, Mrs. Spiegel, calls me up. I got a customer for your car because Barney used to take good care on it. I said, listen, it's 10 years old. And to me, it was good to go shopping back and forth. It was just wonderful. But well, ask Barney. He was in the hospital. So I came and I said, Barney, do you want $200? The man is going to come and take it away. It is. Neil fix it. He knows that you took good care of it. He says to me, I will not give it away to nobody. I'll give it away to my handy. I says, oh, no kidding. He says, yeah, I promised Melvin. He says, I don't want the $200. He says, you know something? Somebody will take it over from me for the $200, and then if something will happen, then they'll kiss me because I sold them an old car. He says, I don't want that, Bertha. And sure enough, as soon as he gave it to your father came to take it. Your father got stuck with it someplace and started steaming. And it started this and that. And the battery went dead or whatever. And your father says it cost him $200 to fix the car. But he says, Mama, I'll be fixing it up and he'll ride with it. And then when he'll finish and he'll go to school, I'll put out a sign and I'll try to sell it yet. And I'll give you what I said, you don't have to. It's yours, Mama. You spend already. You keep it, that's all. But everybody asked me, where's your car? He's not give it away to my grandsons. That's nice. I figured if you would be home, you would have it, you know. Because we would give it. But then this is my life. So my machinist says to me, Mrs. Speaker, listen, $200, Bertha, what's the matter? I says, you know something? It's not nothing, doesn't mean nothing. Well, it's good you don't need the money. I says, no, I don't need the money. That's all. Would have ever help you? That's all. But I'm happy that he's got it and let him enjoy it. He's fixing it up, you know. And he says in the middle of the winter, the minute he went in to start it, 1, 2, 3, it started. Because the starter was a good start. And that was the end of the all European stories. That's
Well, Bubby remembered a lot. But what are your earliest memories of home?
Russia.
Yeah.
In Russia. For the war or after the war?
Well, the earliest ones first. When you were just a little...
Well, we lived quite comfortable.
In what town?
Yekaterinoslav.
Excuse me?
They don't call it now because it was the queen's name. See, Katrina.
Oh, yeah.
See, so they change it now. Dnepropetrovsk, I think they call it now. They took all the Russian from the Tsar times, all the towns, and then when the communists took over, and they threw us whatever his name, a street or a town, or
They changed
they
everything.
changed everything.
The original name again was what?
Yekaterinburg. It was a big city. It was a big city. My father had a little shoe place. I mean, he was making, like him and his my two uncles. They were making shoes, brand new shoes, and selling a little bit from the house. And then the war broke out naturally,
And how old were you when the war broke out?
about 13.
And what language did you speak?
Russian,
You spoke Russian.
yeah. Russian and Yiddish. And then the war broke out. My father had a little stock leather, they were making their own shoes. So the Bolsheviks, at that time they called them Bolsheviks, they come over and they confiscated everything. So they couldn't take it with them. So we had a big shift-room, closet, There's no closet there in the houses. So there was these wooden closets, And that was for all the clothes. My father and my mother used to keep children's closets with a big trunk. And everything when it was in the trunk. Oh, a trunk was quite big. 2 people could sleep on it. So,
Now, did the Bolsheviks do this to every house? They came and they
well,
ransacked?
whatever they knew, there was something that they could use to them, see. They figured the leather, they can make use of the leather. So, they took all the leather and the clothes, they couldn't take it with them. They sealed the closet with a government seal, and you couldn't open it. So if you break the seal, then
You're in trouble.
you're in trouble. So Jews are always smarter than the other guy. So they took the back off. In the back there's a board, Took the back off and took all the leather. And they hid it someplace. And we were sleeping. We didn't even know what the hell was going on in the house. They must have done it the middle of the night,
Your father did it?
My father, yeah. I don't know what he did with it, but he got rid of it. And then they come to take it. They break the seal, they open up, nothing there, not a piece of leather left.
Did you get in trouble? Did your father get in trouble for that?
No, didn't break nothing. The seal was there. That's what's there is there, that's all. Maybe he left a few pieces of scrap, that's all.
How many people in your family?
At that time we were 9, my grandmother, and her 2 single sons.
Your uncles.
My uncles, yeah.
And what was your name? Your last name?
My last name, Keimach.
Keimach.
What did
And what was your mother's maiden name?
Kaplan.
Do you remember that pretty quickly?
Kaplun.
Kaplun.
But it's actually Kaplan. And then the war broke out, and we were running short of food. The planes were flying and throwing bombs all over.
Did you have shelters underground, or did you just have
Nothing. Just didn't go out of the house.
Did they have signals when the planes were coming?
You could hear it?
You could hear the planes.
Sure. So
when they bombed, was it because there were soldiers in your town?
there were soldiers everywhere. Don't you see, it wasn't Bolsheviks alone. There was a lot of bandits
Uh-huh.
that formed gangs,
Uh-huh.
and they went around robbing.
Now the Bolsheviks, those were the ones who were trying to overthrow the government?
Yeah, they did overthrow the government,
Uh-huh.
but then they had the opposition from the other gangs, that organized it, wanted to throw over the Bolsheviks. They were anti-Bolsheviks.
But the planes were from the government then?
The planes were either German planes, a lot of German planes, and what other government, I don't know, but I was too young to remember that. But they were just flying around and throw a bomb here, a bomb there. Then we ran short of food. Couldn't go out to buy any because it was dangerous.
Yeah.
So I used to crawl on my hands and my feet. I was chosen. I was the oldest boy to go to the market.
But who would run a market if this is so much trouble? There were market sellers who would have their business?
There was a market. Because I didn't actually bomb civilians, you see.
Oh.
But it was dangerous to go out, you don't know, a bomb explodes here. So I used to go to the markets and pick up whatever we need, fruits, vegetables, mostly, whatever there was. Mm-hmm. And schlep a bundle back. Mm-hmm. And that's a little walking, a little crawling. When I hear the plane coming and I hear shooting, I just lay down on the ground and waited for a prayer.
Unbelievable.
Then it reached the time that couldn't go to the market. There was nothing.
Was this in 1917 or before?
It was during the war, after the threw over the government.
So it was after 1917.
Yeah. And so my sister and I, it was a family of 11, 12, sure.
With the grandmother?
Huh?
Does that include your grandmother and your
two
two uncles?
Yeah, they lived with us in a big house. Of course, it's 4 or 5 of us in one room, but it's considered a big house. And we had running water outside in the back, which is another convenience that not everybody has it. Mm. You have to go to and buy water and pails, and lug it up. So we had nothing to do. We had no flour, nothing to eat. So we used to wake up in the morning, have a cup of hot tea. If we had a tea, with a candy. There was no sugar. With a hot candy, sucker. Drink that. And then you're hungry all day long. What are you going to do? So my sister and I used to get up early in the morning and take some kind of trinket, gold or silver, whatever they had to spare. My sister and I would go to the farms. We'd go to the farmers and get a little flour. See, they had everything, the farmers. So it took us from early in the morning until dusk to go back and forth till we hit the right place that wanted to trade. Some of them were nice Gentiles, some of them, they knew it was Jews, so they wouldn't even let us go near them. So they took us in, they gave us a bowl of milk, I remember, with some bread. My sister and I, we ate, and then those that were nice, and then they took that crinkle, whatever it was, a piece of gold, a piece of silver, and they gave us a bag of flour. So when we come home at night, everybody was dusk already, and everybody was hungry. So what can you do with the flour now? So my grandmother, she started making like pizzas.
Mm-hmm.
Not none,
But
just flat,
matzah, big matzah.
yeah, flat pizzas. And we ate this, and everybody ate that. She was baking, we were eating, we used up the flour. Then a day or two later, the same thing all over again. We kept on going and going. And finally, the Bolsheviks at that time, communists, they took over the whole city. They drove out all the bandits, all the little gangs, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they marched into every city with the parade with soldiers and ammunition.
So they were good news for
We
you.
were
Yes.
waiting for them. Yeah. They were good. So, but people didn't know which is which. So one side, let's say, of the town would walk in the Bolsheviks. Another side of the town would walk in the Petluras. It's a gang, they call them Petluras. Gangsters.
Uh-huh.
So we didn't know where to go. So we didn't live far from a main street. So we go out and thousands of people on the sidewalks greeting them. All of a sudden my uncle is standing there, was in the winter time. Standing there, was wearing a nice caracal hat. One soldier steps out of the line and takes off his hat. And he gives him his old schmatter thing. We liked his hat, was a good looking hat.
This is now the bandit or the Bolshevik?
We didn't know. After staying and watching it for a while, we discovered it was the Petluras. And the Bolsheviks were walking on the other side of town, chasing. They chased them out. And then got a little quiet.
About what year is this? Do you remember?
It was about 1970. Then we knew it was no good to stay there. So my father, my family, a few other families, went to, decided to go to Palestine. Last time was Palestine.
Mm-hmm.
We decided to go there. How can you go there from Constantinople? I mean, from Russia, you can't go there. So we had to go to Turkey. So we were running away from home. So how do we get to Turkey? We got to closer to the sea, to the Black Sea. That was Sevastopol.
How did you travel? On donkeys or horses or train?
I don't know how to tell you the truth. Couldn't remember. But anyway, we got to Sevastopol. Then we found that plenty of people in the same position we were. So we rented an apartment there.
Is this still in Russia or is this
Still Russia. Sevastopol is still Russia. And that's right near the Black Sea. So we want to go to Palestine. How do we go to Palestine? Start looking for a boat. Nobody would take us. It was illegal. So we started looking for a boat. Finally, some people found a boat. The boat was supposed to take us to Palestine. And the boat was a coal barge. A coal barge. It was 140 people we took. And
Now,
we slept on the coal and the bed, dark, no beds, nothing.
But now you're traveling with 12 people in your family still?
Yeah.
Jesus. And your grandmother could make
No,
the trip?
no, my grandmother didn't go. No, excuse me. My grandmother would my two uncles, they were left behind. They didn't want to go.
Uh-huh.
She was too old and couldn't leave.
Was she your mother's mother or your father's mother?
My mother's mother. And when we got on the boat couldn't make it. There was not enough food, not enough to drink. So the nearest port was Turkey. Instead of going to Palestine, we pulled into Turkey. That's how we landed in Turkey. Turkey we landed, they wouldn't let us off. They had no permission.
How did they let you leave Russia?
They didn't care.
Oh,
They didn't care. Still. And we got to Turkey. A lot of people, there were single people or young married couples.
mm-hmm.
They couldn't go into the port, and so they had to stay outside so many miles the limit. So there was little boats always there, little rowboats that pick you up for a few pennies
Mm-hmm.
and take you ashore. So those that could go overboard and take these boats went in and they went ashore. We were a family of 9. How can we get ashore? So we stranded on the ship after you're going to throw 9, 8, 7 kids, down in a boat, you couldn't fit in one boat. So we got to Turkey, and then the Jewish philanthropists, whatever it was, the Jewish organization, they provided a hotel that used to be closed. And they made that hotel, gave everybody shelter, and they brought us food. That was quite a few days later, before they got permission to bring us ashore. And we stayed there for about 3 years. Then my father started looking for his relatives. My mother had nobody. She did have an uncle here in Boston. So my father and my mother, through the forwards, helped find the relatives.
In this country?
In this country. And they brought us over. My brothers, my uncles from Milwaukee sent some money, and I had 2 uncles in Chelsea.
Do you remember their names?
Milwaukee?
Yeah.
Not the first name.
Last name?
Same thing.
Uh-huh.
Same thing. And then nobody ever changed the name. They maybe spelled it different, but it's the same thing. And
So Keimach, that's Hebrew or Russian?
Hebrew. Keimach means flour. And we worked there. My sister got a place to stay with some people, take care of a couple of children.
In Turkey now?
In Turkey now. I was maybe got a job at a grocery store, delivering orders.
Did you have to learn a new language there?
I had to learn Turkish because the people spoke Jewish. They were Jewish people.
Uh-huh.
And the rest of the family stayed in that place. My father couldn't get a job.
He was looking for a shoemaker job?
He was looking for anything. And finally he ended up in this country. Oh, it was in this country that I'm talking about. Yeah.
The grocery was this country?
Yeah. No, Turkey. That's right. It was in Turkey. And he finally got himself a job. He decided to go shine shoes near Barney. Where there was prohibition in this country. It was but over there there's
They were going to.
yeah. So he was shining shoes and making a few dollars. Then my sister quit her.
What was her name?
My sister Ruth.
Do I know Ruth?
Sure, Ruthie. My oldest sister.
Where does she live?
She lives in Newton.
I must know her.
Sure you do.
It's been a long time.
Sure. And that's how we stayed there. But finally, we found out our relatives in this country. And all they could send for us on my father. They figured he'll come to this country, he'll work, and then he'll bring over my sister and me.
When did your relatives come here? The ones who came to this country?
Oh, they came in the 1900s.
Really? Way before the political
Way before the fall. Way before the war.
How come they came here?
They didn't want to go and steal the Russian army.
So did they have to escape, or were they allowed
They
to
had
leave?
to escape. They had to escape. But their stories, I don't know how they escaped, how they got here, you know. But anyway, there were 4 brothers in this country, my father.
Do you remember who the names?
No, I don't. Yeah, 2 of them I remember. One that lived in Chelsea, his name was Zalik, and the other one was Pena. The other 2 from Milwaukee, I don't know their first name.
Did both Pena and Alec lived in Chelsea? Both?
Yes, yeah. And my father got a job in a pocket food. Used to be a pocketbook maker.
Oh.
So he got a job, pocketbooks. He was staying with my uncle, his uncle rather. Stayed there. Then he was working, paying about $4 a week rent, room and board. He was making $15 a week, $12, $15 a week. It was a lot of money. And he saved the rest. He saved up enough. In about a year, he had enough money for 2 tickets just for my older sister, for Ruth and me.
When Bobby talked about her father saving money for tickets, were these tickets for the travel companies or for people who made the arrangements, or under the table kind of payments?
No. It was all legal. You had to get an American visa. Even before we left Turkey, we had to get an American visa. And what was the money they sent us just for the boat ride?
Was it a commercial boat, or was it?
Well, from Turkey? No, Oh, from Turkey to America, that was a commercial boat. It was a real big boat, but we were third class, naturally. It was a traveler's boat.
It was. I see.
Yeah, there was a lot of Americans on it. It was first class, second class, third class. We were 23 days on the boat. Why were we so long? Because they had these tourists make stops for them, a lot of stops on the way.
I see.
See, so from Turkey, we stopped in another town of Turkey, and then we stopped in Greece. And everywhere they stopped, they told us we can go ashore. So we stopped in Greece. We are going to see the ruins of the. Yeah, I saw the ruins of the
Parthenon and the Acropolis.
Yeah, whatever arena they call it. And then we stopped to refuel in Algiers.
Yeah.
We stopped there, and they told us we were going to stay here overnight. We refueled and check out the boat because it was so when at the time, these Algerians, they're always looking if they can make a buck or steal something from you. So they told us be very careful. So we were very careful, and then we didn't. I didn't like it, so we went back to the boat. And then stayed on the boat until we took off. And from Algiers, we went straight to
New York.
No, yeah, straight to New York, to Coney Island, to Ellis Island.
What was that like?
Still there.
No, I mean the process of going through and everything.
Oh, it was nothing there. You get there to Coney Island, they take your name, you check all your papers, and they call your relatives.
Mm-hmm. And they had to come down and
They
identify you?
come down and identify you and take you.
What did you feel like when you saw the Statue of Liberty?
Oh, everybody was out on deck and cheering. We saw the Statue of Liberty. It was a thrill.
Did you know that there was that some of the people would not be allowed to stay? Did everybody know that?
Well, some of them were the undesirable.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them were sick.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to stay in Ellis Island until they get cured. Some of them look mostly for diseases, Some had a disease or had trouble with their eyes. They kept them back. And we got jobs. My sister and I, we got jobs in this country.
In New York?
No.
You also went right away to Boston?
No, we stayed about 3-4 days in Patterson, New Jersey.
Patterson, New Jersey?
Yeah.
Oh!
And then...
How did you ever land in Patterson?
My father's got some relatives there.
Still?
I don't know if the children are living, but the older people are gone.
Under the name of Keimach also?
No. It wasn't his relatives. It was my mother's side.
So the name was what? Do you remember the last name?
Greenberg.
Greenberg. So there could be Greenbergs in Patterson that are related then, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Do they know Keimach? Do they know the name
There's Greenberg
Keimach?
and Schwartz. There's the Greenberg and the Schwartz.
Do you remember
A brother and a sister.
what their first names were?
Maya, I remember.
Meyer Greenberg?
Yeah. His wife, I think, is still living. But anyway, then they put us on a train, on a boat ride up to Providence.
Uh-huh.
From New York, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we got on the boat. We arrived in Providence, and they told us had to get to Boston, take a train and this. As little as how my father got here, I don't know.
Oh, he didn't come with you?
No, he was already a year in this country.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
See, then he saved up enough money to send for me, my sister. So we got to Providence, and then we took the train, I remember, and we got to South Station. South Station, they showed us where to take the elevator. We had to get off. And my father was only a year in this country himself. He didn't know. So we brought us into his uncle's, my mother's uncle's house.
Where was that?
That was in Dorchester.
Do you remember the address?
57 Lucerne Street.
Lucerne Street?
57.
Is the house still there?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think they demolished it.
That was your first house in Boston, huh?
That was the first house in Boston, but we didn't live there. So finally they started separating my sister in one place.
How come?
Well, they didn't have room, and they decided me they'll stay with my uncle. And then my sister went to one of the daughters, and my father stayed with another daughter. So they were all separated. So then they got jobs for us. Looking for jobs for us.
How old were you now?
About 15, 16. But I had to go to communication school, night school. So you couldn't go to work before 16.
Oh.
But I was 16, so I lied the age. I came in 2 years older. Put on my papers 2 years older than I actually was. They put in a head. I'll show you the picture in a minute with everything. And made me look like 18. And they started looking for a job. So the family, my uncle's family, him and his wife and the children, they all get together. My father, my sister, all in their house. They all get together. What should we send them to work to? What shall I do? This one says a plumber. No, it's heavy work, it's dirty work. I'm an electrician. I don't know. Not for him.
And they weren't asking you what you wanted?
No. They were deciding, well, take him in the needle trade. No. Needle trade at that time was not doing so well. So finally, while we're sitting there, this Michigan neighbor comes in. What are you worrying about a job? I got a job for him. I'll take him Monday to work. What was the upholstery shop? So I said, up to this day, he should have broken his legs before he walked in to take him to that job. Started $6 a week. So I had to give $4 board. Listen to this. $4 room and board. Of course, she gave me lunches too. $1.20 coffee. So I had 80 cents left over for the week. Didn't save anything. But luckily, the boss that I worked for liked me, and I picked up the trade. So he gave me every week $1 a raise.
Oh boy.
See, and I had to work Saturday 5 hours too. 50 hours a week. That was 12 cents an hour.
Oh no!
Sure, I worked 50 hours a week for $6. And that was better. And then Saturday I worked a half a day. So after work, I couldn't go to home. My uncle wanted me. He had a shoe store in Sherwood Avenue, second-hand shoes. He repairing shoes, selling shoes, second-hand new ones. So it was a low environment, a low clientele. Inside it used to come in a lot of them, a bunch, and they'd steal. He says, all I want you to do is just sit and watch. So I had to go to his store and stay in his store till about 9:30, 10 o'clock
At night?
at night. That's after a Saturday's a day's work. Then we go home. That was my Saturdays.
Oh boy.
Then I got a little, a couple of months later, I had an extra $1. Saying I used to walk. It was quite a walk, must have been about 5-6 miles.
From Lucerne Street?
No, from my shop to his store
Oh. Where was your shop?
in Boston.
Remember what place?
Yeah, on North Street.
What was the name of it?
Bay State Upholstery.
Is it still there?
Yeah. There's no such thing no more as a name.
Mm-hmm.
And
So you'd make the walk from there?
I waited, walk from work, go right to the store. So then I used to go by Washington Street. I see all the movie theaters and all the shows and everything. Cost a dime to go in. So I said, what am I going to rush there? I'll tell them I had to work late in the shop. I used to go into a movie, spend a few hours.
What movies did you see? Do you remember what? Was it Charlie Chaplin or?
I don't remember what movies. There's all kinds of movies I could do. As long as I could sit down and relax myself for a few hours, because I know it was a long night.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister got a job. I forgot what the hell she was doing. She got a job someplace, I don't know what. But anyway, saved up enough money. The money that came from me and my sister was enough. It was competition. The lines, the travelers, the boat, the commercial boats, who were competing against each other, were cutting prices. And there was a lot of passengers. So the money that my father sent for me and my sister was enough for the rest of the family for tickets. But my mother had trouble with her eyes, and my younger sister also had trouble with her eyes, so they wouldn't give her. She had to stay. So they couldn't go with us.
No, I'm mixed up now. I thought. Did you just jump back to the old country there for a second? You got me confused.
No.
Go with you from where to where?
From Constantinople.
Oh, you're just now talking about Constantinople?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, I thought you were here in this country already.
We were in this country, but the money that my father sent for us was enough for them too. Because they were cutting prices of tickets, so we figured it may as well go all together.
Mm-hmm.
But at that time we were already 10 of us. On the way, my mother had a child, while we lived in Sevastopol. That's before we got the badge to go to Palestine. And so they held them back. So after 6 months, we sent for them, and they came.
Mm-hmm.
So the cousins already providing an apartment for us in the West End.
Where?
On West Cedar Street.
Do you remember the number?
82.
Jesus. What a memory.
Yeah, it was a cold house. Stove, that's all. 2 bedrooms, a kitchen. And then we start getting better. You know, kept getting raises. My father quit his profitable work when I got the job. They talked him into going to the shop where I am, the upholstery shop, because he knew how to stitch.
Mm-hmm.
So he went there and he got more money, was making more money, which was good. And we got by. Cousins, they finished our home, you know, they got furniture for us and the apartment, an icebox and beds, you know.
So now we're all 9 Keimachs together, living
Yeah.
together?
Oh, 10 of us.
Oh, 10, yeah.
Yeah, all living together. Then we got kind of cramped up there. We were doing a little better. So we thought we'd look for
Another house?
another place to live in. So we rented an apartment on Anderson Street,
Number?
35. 35 Anderson Street.
35 Anderson Street. Where is that?
It's up on the hills, Beacon Hill.
Uh-huh.
Now it's Beacon Hill. It's Beacon Hill now. It was always part of Beacon Hill. Even where Cedar Street was part of Beacon Hill, the first apartment.
Mm-hmm.
But Anderson was in the same area.
That building is still there then,
Yeah,
yeah?
they made students. We converted it for students. 1 and 2 bedroom.
So you moved to
We moved to
Anderson?
Anderson Street and we lived there. And we bought, I remember, a phonograph and we already were making all pretty good.
Yeah, I guess so. Because in those days, a phonograph was about $100, wasn't it?
I don't know what it was. We got it from a peddler.
Oh, I see. I have.
Pay cash for it. Peddlers provided everything: linen, phonographs, sewing machines, you name it, clothing.
When they walked in the streets selling these things?
No. They used to come to the house. They knew it was foreigners. They used to come to the house and sell. And come weekly collect and always buy something.
So you're in Anderson Street now. You have been working. You and your father had been working in the upholstery shop for.
Yeah, my sister was also. I think she went to work for the Hood Rubber Company in Cambridge.
This is Ruth?
Yeah.
What about the other 7? The other 8?
They're too young yet to go to school. And my younger sister, Bertha, she got a job too. I don't know what she was doing. But she got a job. She was also working. And everybody bought their pay. Nah. And that's how we used to live. Ooh. You want to eat?
Okay, a little bit.
Good. Brad is hungry, Bertha.
Okay, we'll pick up after. Okay, so we're now on Anderson Street.
And then on the street, start going. Every penny I earned, I had to turn into a house.
For food?
Oh yeah, for food. Food and a shelter, I had to pay rent and everything. And then I had to ask for a handout.
Really?
And finally they allowed me to keep $7 a week. It wasn't enough. I was making $32 a day that time. So Never forget, I sat there, I was sitting, I just gave him the pay, and I says, I need a shirt. I haven't got a clean shirt, and I haven't got a shirt to change. I want to go out tonight with the boys. That I didn't go out with the girls. Couldn't afford to take out girls, so didn't want to. Honest, I haven't got. What do you mean you haven't got? I just gave you my pay. Well, sit down, take a pen and figure out what I have to pay for my father. I gotta pay rent, and I gotta pay this guy and that guy and this and the peddler and crazy. So he gave me a figure that I should give him more money. It never enough.
This is your father talking now.
Yeah. So I was sitting crying and crying. I was plain crying that like a baby. Nothing to do. Then finally I met my Bobby. I met her. This girl made a party, a 16th birthday party for her.
For Bobby.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we met in their house. Not in Bobby's house, the girlfriend's house. She had a lot of boys and girls. And I right away liked her. So we started getting all kinds of game and this and that. I started going out with her little by little, you know. Go to a movie. She had to be home at 10:30, 10 or 10:30. She had to be home, or else she couldn't go in. They wouldn't give her a key.
So they'd lock her up?
And her father was mad because she came too late. He had to get out of bed and walk downstairs, open up the door for her. So that was it, and then we started going out, meeting every night in the West End Park. Take a boat ride. Many times I didn't have the dime. Take a boat ride, buy an ice cream. And that's all.
A boat ride where?
On the Charles.
On the Charles River?
Yeah, 10 cents it should be alright.
Do they still have those boats?
I don't know if they still. I don't think so.
Where would you get on?
Get on the Charles River.
But where? I mean, at what?
Charles Street.
Charles Street?
Charles Street. Over there, nights you couldn't find a place to sit.
It's so crowded.
Crowded, all foreigners, jam-packed. Not only couldn't find a bench to sit in, you couldn't find a place to sit on the grass. That's how jammed it was. People came from all over around Boston, the North End, the South End, the West End, of course we lived in the West End. And it was quite every night. So then one day my father-in-law gets hold of me. You're already going out with her so long, when are you going to get married? And I wasn't too happy at home because I still had to. My parents didn't want me to get married.
Oh, I see. How long had you been dating Bobby?
Oh, about a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got sick and tired then. My father didn't want me to get married because he'd lose my salary.
Mm-hmm.
So he says, wait a couple of years more, I'll save money for you. He says, I'll save money for you when you get married. Didn't have a dime. You get married, you'll have some money. He says, how? So he gives me a figure. You'll borrow money in the Oxy, in the credit union. And you'll save for me $300. It started with $300. You have to pay so this $300. Pay three the boy again, and he was paying $6 a week. Fine. So then I got fed up with it and couldn't get along in the house with the rest of them. So I said I want to get married. Well, you can't get married before your older sister. Or Jewish. That's Jewish tradition. So finally she got herself a boy. She got married she's supposed to get married about 2 weeks before me.
Oh, Jesus.
And we had the hall and everything arranged.
What happened?
My little brother, the youngest one,
Yes.
tried to jump from one over to the other. It was a small alley, so the kids were jumping. He thought he'd make it, but he was so little, he was 7.5 years old.
7.5.
Yeah. So he couldn't make it, so he fell in
In the space between the buildings.
in the space between the buildings. And he crushed his brain. Took him to the hospital, and he never came out.
Were you there when it happened?
No, I was at work, but they told me he's in the hospital. And everybody's in the hospital when I come home from work. So I ran over to the hospital just across the street. And I went down, I saw him. And there's nothing they could do for him. He just crushed his skull, fell on his head.
Mm.
And so we canceled the big wedding. Made a little wedding for her. And then she got out, so I said, well, it's my wedding. Okay. I come home, I bring my pay, and I don't give it to them. Don't give the money to my parents, because I'm getting married. I'll never forget these words my father said. What's the matter? Nicht gehst, nein, dicke Woche. What's the matter? Didn't eat this week? Why didn't he give me pay? So my mother says, leave him alone. He needs it. And didn't like the idea. Then I got married. So it wasn't even a year after he started saving money for me. There was still balance to pay. He gives me the book now. He says, you paid the balance. The balance of the loan that he made in the credit union. So, and we had to go from my house, from Anderson Street, to Allen Street, where Bobby lived. So we start walking. So my father says, why couldn't you take a taxi? You should walk to our wedding. So my mother says, keep quiet, walk, she won't do you no harm. It wasn't too far, it was about 10 minutes walk from my house. And we started looking for an apartment before we got married. And we found an apartment on Walk Hill Street in Manhattan.
Walker Hill?
Walk Hill.
Walk Hill.
And we got some furniture on installment. And I got more pay. And but the pay come in, I had to pay coal, gas, electric. Didn't have a telephone. Rent, $44 a month rent. That time was a lot of money because it was a brand new house, a nice house.
Mm-hmm.
And then we bought furniture on the installment plan, so the pay come in, it wasn't enough.
What year was this? 1925?
Not 1927. That's when I got married. And but we struggled. It was hard to make ends meet. And finally, I had to move out. I couldn't afford to pay the rent. So I had to move out, move to cheaper apartment. It was already the depression. Melvin was born. Yeah, Melvin was still born on Walk Hill Street. And we went this summer, we went to Revere Beach for the summer. We stayed there a couple of summers. Then things, we moved out, things picked up, the depression killed it all. I made loans here and loans there, and we struggled quite a bit.
Where did you live when you moved out of Walk Hill?
We lived moved to Balsam Street.
Is that also in Mattapan?
That's Dorchester. And we lived there, cheaper rent, was the depression, and I still had to wait. My mother used to come once in a while, bring some food, a little, you know. Then Louis came along in 1932. He was born. So I'll never forget. I went to take her home from the hospital. I had to pay up the bill or else they wouldn't let her go home. So I had to pay up the bill with little money I could accumulate. Then I took a taxi. Left myself enough for a taxi to go home from the hospital. And we come home. They gave me a formula. We had no bottles, no nickels. We didn't have a nickel in the house. And I was ashamed to go in 5 and 10. It was right around the corner. A 5 and 10, 2 bottles for a nickel. I didn't have the nickel. So poor kid was crying all day long. He was hungry, and he couldn't feed him. So finally my mother came along, and the first thing I asked her, he got a nickel, a dime. I gotta go out and get some bottles. She said, the baby is crying, wants to eat, and I haven't got a bottle. So she gave me, I don't know how much. And I went out and bought the bottles. And she made him eat. And from there on was everything downhill because of the depression.
How did you do it?
How did I do it? Took a mortgage on the furniture. Paying 3% a month interest.
Wow.
If I didn't pay a month, right away they send me a threatening letter. They're gonna back up a truck and take the furniture. Besides that, I owe the store. So from there we moved. We couldn't pay the rent there either. And the landlord was nice enough. It's all right. He says, whenever you can, you pay me. He never did.
Oh my.
He never bothered us. Because that was the custom then, in the depression. People moved in, they stayed a while, they paid the rent, and then they stopped. And so he figures, what the hell? You'll move out, you won't get anything better. May as well let the building be occupied. So he let me stay there about 3 months, and I moved into it with my parents. They lived on Wales Street, had a big apartment.
Mattapan?
Well, it's also in Dorchester. I lived with them for a while and we couldn't get along. No matter how much Bobby did for my mother, it wasn't enough just to clean the house, clean the stove, and wash the kitchen floor and whatnot, everything.
Mm-hmm.
So one day my mother told her, 100 times you'll do, it'll be all right. One time you won't do it, you lose the 100 times credit. And it got really rough. We just couldn't get along, argue every night. So I went away and I found an apartment on Spencer Street, Olson, Dorchester. It was cheaper, it was on top floor. So I moved in there and I went to work for the welfare. There was no job to be got. So I went to work for the welfare. And they were giving me $10 a week. $10 a week, and I had to spend a day to go and collect. They didn't send me to the house, and I had to work those days. Send me out in the bitterest, coldest day, shovel snow, fill up the trucks, shovel snow, clean the parks, cut the grass, whatnot. Anything that would work, but they found work for us. It was too cold. There was a firehouse by this side. We used to go in the fire station, warm up a little. Then we go out again. Then one day, when I lived on Spencer Street, a fire broke out. Some kids downstairs on the bottom floor, they didn't know it was a boy. We just went crazy. He went outside. He started a fire on the back porch. It was on dry summer, remember? And the whole back of the house burned down. So I had insurance. The workers' insurance, nothing about. So they gave me $300 insurance.
Did you lose the whole apartment?
No, we didn't lose nothing, just a few schmuckers there. Go in the back holes, that's all.
So it was a good fire then, huh?
Yeah, just the back of the house. And then I had to go in the meantime, get the kids out. I started to run to the corner to ring the fire engine. But I walked out of the house and I see the flames are rising. So I went back and I alerted the neighbors. Go out quick, and I took the kids, I took Mel and Lou. And we were outside. Then we cleaned up, went back into the house. And they got me the $300. We were no work anyway. So decided 10 of us to open up a business, corporation. So we went and we opened up a shop. Everybody put in $300.
What 10 people?
My trade, all people from my trade. Everybody works. And things were tough at the beginning. The biggest pay was drawn was $15 a week. But that was the best we could do. So I worked day and night like a horse.
For how long?
Till the Depression, till Roosevelt got elected. When he got elected, there was a lot of jobs available. People started, he provided jobs, you know what I mean, for millions of people all over the country. And from Spencer Street, where did we go? I don't remember. That was it. After Spencer Street, I don't remember. But things got better. The welfare helped out, sending in little food once now. You had to go pick it up. $10 a week. They sent a ton of coal once in a while.
Mm.
So they had heat. Bertha, where did we move from Spencer Street? Oh yeah, we moved to Ross. Still sheep around. We moved there and things started picking up. And the business was just beginning to show a little bit of profit, because we had to compete. So we had to give it away for nothing. 3 policies for $100.
What?
Oh, it's cheap stuff, but
God.
people will buy it. That's what the store would pay us. They took advantage of us. They knew we needed the money. And we told them, if you pay us on time, we'll give you. So they gave us the money. And we had enough to meet our bill. We buy material, buy supplies. But still, it wasn't enough. It wasn't making a living.
What was the name of the company?
State Upholstery. State Upholstery, that's what it's still there.
Really?
It's in the West End now. That time it was in Cambridge. Now it's on Canal Street.
Any of the original people still in it?
No. Everyone is out. Either died or out.
So when you moved to Intervale Street, it must have been around 1933?
Somewhere around that.
And Dad was 5 years old.
Yeah, he was 4 or 5 years old.
And Lou was a newborn, about 1 year old, huh?
Yeah, from Balsam Street, he was about a year old. I lived in Roxbury, and then I was approached by somebody, go to work for them. What do you want to struggle? What do you want to struggle? You're not making a living. What are you drawing now? I was ashamed to tell them $15, drawing $10, $12, and then was already good. A good couple of weeks, drawing 15. He just come to work for me. He says, I'll see that you make. I went in there and I started making about $32 a week.
Wow.
She said, that's a blessing. And I got some money out from the business. They paid me what I invested. And they remained with the business, and I went to work there. And I was making a living. I was getting by, beginning to see daylight. Paid up a few bills. And then I worked there, and then another after supper. I used to come home, have supper, and go to work nights. Make another couple of dollars. It was real tough. Well, then it started.
Your father was 4 years old. He used to work at your father. And the carriage, when the ice cream man would go by. I want ice cream. You know, so I didn't have any in my pocket. I said, don't you cry. I got no money. I got no money. Then when I went out again on my walk, I said, I'm going to take you again for a walk, but if you're going to start crying, if you want ice cream, I'm not going to walk.
That was when we lived with our parents.
Oh, yeah, when I lived with his parents.
But in intervals, we were doing good already.
Oh, yeah, in intervals, we did good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we started built. And then
The kids grow older already a little bit.
Yeah.
Sure. And your
Then-
father, he used to run to make up you.
Yeah, he used to do
Remember?
anything.
Yeah.
Used to sell papers.
Yeah, papers.
Used to go to sell papers after school.
No, he used to bring the few dollars, he used to bring them to me. He used to put them in my pillow.
Under your pillow.
Honestly, because when I sleep, sometimes he came over and laying down. And then we moved out to Revere in our room. So he found himself a summer job. There in the amusement.
Or in the amusement stand.
He
And he
came
was
home and
making
gave me
it.
every cent that he made. And he didn't spend it on himself. He saved up a few dollars, he went and put them on a watch on his hands. They are, that's why I say that his sons should give him such a pleasure and respect him as he did us.
Like
He
I
deserves
tell Lou, how could we live the way we lived that time? She says, Dad, that was the style of it. Everybody was living that way.
Yeah.
We were no better, we were no worse.
Yeah.
We were no better, no worse. Saturday was a ritual, frankfurts and beans.
Every
What a
Saturday.
chicken.
Every Saturday.
So they got the frankfurts and beans. I got some frankfurts and beans.
Sometimes they got a treat. We had a extra few pennies. We got corn.
And we were rich.
Hey, yes.
But like they were happy.
Yeah,
Martinez, I used to give frankfurts and beans. So he says, what is frankfurts and beans? He says, everybody was eating frankfurts and beans. So you gave me frankfurts. You didn't deny us of nothing. That Lou says, you know. You didn't deny us of nothing, Ma, which we did.
That was the way of living.
We gave him away everything
Then
we
she
had.
became pregnant with Phyllis. And Phyllis was born in 38.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we moved across the street in a better apartment.
Yeah.
On Intervale Street.
On Intervale Street was
First
a
we lived
better
on
apartment.
122 and then we lived
More
on
rooms,
137.
brighter, different type, like cleaner. And we stayed there.
Quite a few years.
Yeah, we stayed there quite a few years. Stayed there till 50.
I couldn't remember those years for long.
55, we moved into a Deering Road.
Yeah.
Oh my, so from 33 to 55 you were on Intervale Street?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, so many years. I raised up the kids there.
The kids,
22 years.
Right. Melvin got married from there, sure.
Melvin got married from Intervale.
Right.
Now, does that house still exist? Do you know?
No.
They tore
They're
it down.
all down. They burned them all
They
down.
burned it down.
They burned them down.
No houses in Roxbury are still standing
No,
there.
they're all empty fields.
Either broken down and boarded up or they're staying vacant.
No, it's all they burned all the houses out there. Until there was one by there, she was like a cemetery. And so there you are. This is the life we live. And it's supposed to be happy years. I mean, you know, we didn't know much, but as long as it was free, everything, we had everything, you know. And if we didn't have everything, we were contented, you know. We didn't look for anything more, anything better. Daddy wanted, I wanted a fur coat. He went with me to Morton's.
Well, that's already when I was.
He got me a fur coat.
When I was working already for the diamond
Mm.
machines, you name it, clothing.
When they walked in the streets selling these things?
No. They used to come to the house. They knew it was foreigners. They used to come to the house and sell. We can't really collect and always buy some.
So you're in Anderson Street now. You have been working. You and your father had been working in the upholstery shop for.
Yeah, my sister was also. I think she went to work for the Hood Rubber Company in Cambridge.
This is Ruth.
Yeah.
What about the other 7 The other
You're
8?
too young yet to go to school. And my younger sister, Bertha, she got a job too. I don't know what she was doing. She got a job. She was also working. She and everybody got their pay. Nah. That's how we used to live. Ooh. You want to eat?
Okay, a little bit.
Good. Bread is hungry, Bertha.
Okay, we'll pick up after.
He built himself
I
up.
was making a good big spray.
So I paid out, also installments, but I paid out.
I remember Deering Road. That was at the top of the hill, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, that was the
Deering Road, from Interville, St. Louis went into the service.
Yeah.
Then he came back from the service, and he
Yeah.
saw what's doing. You're afraid to walk out at night. And across the way, some black people moved in.
Oh, that's a terrible thing. That
And,
time they were climbing to the windows.
And they were climbing to, not climbing to the window. She was a prostitute.
Oh, it was terrible.
Man used to come day and night, get drunk and have parties.
So we moved out of there.
So we moved out of there. We got that apartment in Dorchester. $75 a month.
On Deering Road was $75 a month.
Yeah. Oh, it was so much money, everybody. How would you be able to pay
We
it?
had the money. I was
How would
working.
you be able to
I
pay
was
it?
making a living.
Yeah.
I paid him.
Yeah.
And I had to heat it myself.
Yeah.
So he raised me $15 a month. Yes, because that's just fine. So I was paying $90 there.
Yeah.
That was a nice apartment. I remember that.
Oh, yeah, it was a gorgeous apartment.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that.
Listen, it's
Then
one
he
thing
made us move because his son got married and he couldn't afford. He was
to pay the rent.
pay rent. He was a young fellow and he had no money. And he was living somewhere and he was paying high rent and he couldn't afford it. So they decided to make us move. And
You moved to President Street?
Yeah, moved to Featherland Street. There we lived a few years.
There was a dump.
Oh, you lived at that couple of
Oh,
years.
a smelly place.
Well, listen, we lived on the bottom floor, and on the top floor, and the middle floor was living refugee people, But the only thing is, they never used to carry the garbage down. They used to throw it through the windows.
What?
And we didn't know. All of us sat in the garden, the back porch. There's mice walking around the back porch. I says, "Oi, whether we fell in. Oh, my God." I called up the landlord. I says, I'm not going to stay here long because look what he's doing. He sent back notice to the neighbors telling him not to do those things, But they went away to work.
To clean up.
And then we stood a couple of years there, 2 years, I think, 2 or 3 years. And then I
we moved to Galleron.
That was the prettiest apartment in Galleron. But there we went up in the
Galleron was paying after Deering Road, that was.
Yeah. After Deering Road, but the President, we went to
Deering Road. We went to Galleron
Boulevard.
And
there we're paying high rent.
High rent, paying $130. $130.
Yeah.
Also without heat.
Yeah,
But that time it didn't cost too much. Cost us about $22.
There he's gone again. It's nice.
And,
I love it. Yeah. That's
how we struggled. But then it got unbearable to live on Galleron Boulevard. He was afraid to go down the Blue Avenue.
You had those crazy people living upstairs too, right?
Oh,
yeah, they both died.
Oh, they were crazy.
It's the landlord.
Yeah, well, he was the landlord, see.
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't let you go by the hall. Oh,
so he thought they were going to give him the house alone.
But yeah, when he died, I'll give him alone the house.
So then it was so that you couldn't go to Blue Avenue. All the black people moved in and they were
Trying to take over things.
That were trying to take over. They drove everybody out of business. Stealing, breaking in, and going to markets, make an order,
Walk out with it.
and walk out with it.
That's what they've been doing
Right
all
to the
along.
register.
But,
So then Phyllis
and Paul came,
bought the house
and Sharon.
in Sharon and Stoughton.
And Stoughton, but it was a long time ago.
Well, that was in Stoughton.
Mm.
They lived in Stoughton a few years. And they sold the house and they moved to Sharon. It got tougher on that way. She started looking for an apartment. So she found this house. At that time it was
2-something.
240,
Mm.
245.
It was
something.
more, but they paid the rest.
Something like that.
Mm.
And I saved up a few dollars. I went to security.
Mm-hmm.
My social security came through, and
Yeah.
that's why I could afford to move here already. I was getting social security, and I was working a few days, and the boss was paying me cash.
Hey, great.
Yes, that's how I
So
saved up a
that,
few dollars, you know.
And that's how I started saving. You can imagine, as little as we had, we saved up $500 and gave them to Phyllis towards to buy the house,
Yeah,
because she lived with her mother-in-law.
she lived with her mother-in-law. She didn't have
I
no
remember.
privacy. Oh, she says, Mom, when I sit down with Joan,
The
I
door,
gotta have the door
the
open.
door had to be open all the
Couldn't be locked, otherwise they'd be met. I had to walk in the father-in-law and mother-in-law. She comes to me, Ma, I don't know what I'm like. I got no privacy, and that's saving me. She says, it's driving me crazy, Mom.
Paul comes home from
Oh,
work. He wants to sit down and tell her
The day
the
when
days what happened. She wants to tell him. He sits there. They want to eat supper. He sits
it
there
doesn't
like,
go away. Like, oh,
Sydney's Paul's brother?
yeah,
Yeah.
34, 30, now 34 years old, the guy.
yeah.
Never married. Doesn't even got a car. It's a good thing his mother's got a house, he's living there. Takes away the car from home, everything. And that was it was struggling years. But listen, I gotta be
And then I
thankful.
bought this condominium. I had enough money to pay in at that time, but I was afraid, what if something happens and I'll be left without a nickel?
Mm-hmm.
So your father and Phyllis and Paul, Phyllis already lived a year in Sharon.
Mm-hmm.
She made us move here. They made into condominiums. It's either stay until I sell it or buy it.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, hey, supposing we don't buy it and you sell it, you make us move. Where we gonna go again?
Mm-hmm.
It's already after my heart attacks, after my sickness. I got no more strength to move.
Mm-hmm.
So your father
Paul.
and Paul and Phyllis and your father and mother, they made a down payment. They made a good investment.
But not now. Oh, you know.
We bought it for $24,000. It's worth about $35,000.
This condominium here?
Yeah.
Because
Wow.
I know if, some people are selling
Mm.
right next to the pool.
Yeah.
They ask $39,000,
Mm-hmm.
39.5.
$39,500.
But you'll sell it for 39. You see? So your father, and where's the repaying, or I do this.
Well, that's cost us $335.
That's maintenance?
That includes everything.
337.
Yes, electric maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
But this is not over yet because they said they're going to.
Well, they're going to raise because the utilities
Go up, everything goes up.
go up.
So
Did you like this house? Is this house the best of all the ones you've had?
No, this is the best of all the ones they had.
Because
Yeah.
you get a bed, we can see
Look how
all.
quiet it is. No traffic, nothing. It's just marvelous. Yeah, I enjoy every minute of it. Generous service, cleaning the bushes,
They
cutting the
clean the
bushes.
house,
Oh
the
my
back
God,
and the front.
lovely.
They come 3 times a week, take away your dry
Garbage.
garbage.
Yeah.
Wet garbage you
they
got
do.
on the ground.
Mhm.
Right
Yeah.
there.
It's very, very nice. I love it here.
And
The only thing is,
you're insured. I mean, they pay the insurance for outside. They pay for the pool. We don't pay not to the pool.
We have central air conditioning.
Central air conditioning.
Beautiful. And winter is nice and warm. It's so hot in here. My God, you can
The only thing you pay is telephone.
Yeah, we have the thermos here, and we make it as hot as we want, as cold as we want. He's always cold, you know, so he puts it up high. And
You too.
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah.
Well, your apartment is a cold apartment.
Sometimes, but when fall comes around, out comes my heavy coat.
Yeah.
That's all.
Right away. Not right away. I'm with my heavy coat.
Yeah.
Scarf, hat. Can you run down the 10 children in your family and tell me what happened to each? The little one, what was his name?
Abe.
Abe. He died at 7.5.
He died. He jumped off the roof at 7.5.
She's always good. I gave her so many shirts and everything. Oh, yeah.
There was Abe. He's gone. He was the first one to die. And then my brother George. He died after.
Yeah, but
he died before Charlie. He died. And then Charlie died. What I got left now is 2 brothers, both in California.
What are their names?
Harry and Joe.
Keimach.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And 2 sisters. Ruth Gorodetsky and Bertha Brooks.
Uh-huh. There are 2 more.
No, and me. Dad and Ma.
Now wait a second. You had
Abe, George,
Charlie.
and Charlie's dead.
Okay. Then Harry and
Joe. Ruth and
Bertha. And you. Oh, I thought there were 2 more.
8
Oh, I thought there were 10. There was 10 plus your parents.
plus the parents.
I see. Wow.
That's what's left now. Is the 2 brothers, 3
5
brothers.
of us.
5, yeah. 2 sisters.
Joe calls once in a while. We keep in touch.
Mm-hmm.
Harry never.
Have I met either of them? They never came out here for a wedding or a bar mitzvah or something?
No. Come out to the edge. My brother, they're both retired in California.
They are kind of coming to California very well. Well, they have children there, you know. They're married, they got children living there. They got one brother's got a son, Jeffrey.
He used to live in New York.
Yeah. No, not the one who lives in New York. Jeffrey is the one who lives in New York.
Yeah, but this is Gerald.
But the one he's got in Florida, in California, is Gerald. And of course Joe's got a son, but he's not in California now. He's living in England now. Barney is this oldest son, Barney. And he's got a daughter in California, but I don't even know her name. It's so many years that I don't see them. And that's the whole family.
I want to get your story of how you met this character.
There was a girlfriend of mine, you know, that I used to go around with her, you know. So one night I called her up and I says, listen, would you like to go for a walk tonight? Just where's the walk? In Charles River Park, So she says to me, you know something, but I cannot walk tonight. She says, tonight I would appreciate if you'd come over to my house. I says, why? He says, my parents wouldn't let me go out tonight because my older sister's having a party and my parents wants me to help out a little bit in the party. But I'd appreciate if you'd come down, Bertha. I says, oh, what would I do with the elderly, the boy? Your sister's older than we are, and she's having her company and it doesn't look nice to come in. She says, I'll tell you what, you come over to the party and we'll stay a little while. And then she says, we'll both go. I'll tell my mother that after it was bringing over to dinner, everything, then we'll walk both out. I said, well, that's all right. Then I, just walked in, playing, and I walked in. Those years, I don't think we wore pants. Dressed up a little skirt, and I walked in there. Come in there. The phonograph is playing, and the boys, boys already, big boys. I figured myself a 16-year-old kid, 15-year-old kid, but I see big boys, and I also see Pa there. So they all start dancing, So he asked me to dance. I danced with him one dance, and then I says I wasn't supposed to be at the party because we wasn't invited to the party, but it's my girlfriend's sister, so that's how I went to the party. So he said, you're going to stay here a little while? I says, yeah, we're going to stay a little while, but we're going to go, my girlfriend and I will walk. Anyways, we left into the party there, I suppose, and we walked out, the girlfriend and I. And then, when I wake up, so too, we start walking in Charles River Park. Where's it to walk? So he comes along with a bunch of fellas, So already he knew me. So we stopped already and we start talking, And then the fellas start walking and he started walking, with me and the girl. Then the girl found somebody else and she left me again with him. And we were walking and then he asked me where I was living, and I had to be in the house 10 o'clock. If I wouldn't be home 10 o'clock, my father would lock the doors, So we looked at the time. I get nervous looking at the time each time. Anyways, brings me home to the door, asked me when he can see me again. I said, I'm sorry, you can't see me because I'm not going with any boys. I did. It's the first guy that I met. And I was 16 years old. I said, and my sister's older than me. My brother's older than me. They're not married, So my mother, sure enough, wouldn't let me go out with boys. She wouldn't. So I says, I don't think I'll be able to see you. And that was that, and I let him go. Then finally I come home the next day. My mother said, where were you last night? You had to report everything, I said, well, we were first in Jenny Sherman's house, but there was a party for her sister, so. But I said to my mother, something? I met a boy that you would like. She says, why? I said, because he's also come from Europe, because she kept on saying to us that European girls got to meet European boys, because American boy don't understand the European girl, what she went through. But a European fella, it's true. A European fella went through the same thing as a European girl went through. That's what she wanted us to meet, So I said, something? You would be happy to know that I met a nice Jewish boy, also coming from Europe, Oh, that was wonderful, 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 wonderful. And my sister was sitting, the older one, Sarah, And I kept on telling them, and that was there. A couple of times during the week, I had to go to night school. Oh, that was wonderful, 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 wonderful. And my sister was sitting, the older one, Sarah, And I kept on telling them, and that was there. A couple of times during the week, I had to go to night school. Because I went out of, didn't make grammar school because, I wanted to go and look for a job. I wanted to go to work. So you have to be going to night school, to attend night school. So I used to go to night school. And he went to night school too, but each time he knew that I was going to night school, he met me. And he said, don't go to night school tonight. Say that you went, but don't go to night school. And we used to go, come over, yeah. And you didn't tell the parents that we didn't. And then we kept on meeting that, just off and on like that. And then one time, my older sister wanted to invite some of her boyfriends. So she wanted to make a party, but to make a party just like that, it doesn't look right. So what did she say? That she's making a party for her sister. She's sweet 16, she's making a party for her sister. So that was fine. So she started saying, who do you want me to invite? So I said, of course, my girlfriend. And she says, how about the boy that you met at the party? I said, all right, and I wasn't serious, you know. What do you care? Let's send him a card. We'll send him a card. If you want it, he'll come. If you don't want it, you don't have to come. But you send him a card. You see him each time you meet him. I thought. And she sent him a card to come to the birthday party. And sure enough, he comes to the birthday party, and he's the first guy that comes into the birthday party with a wristwatch, for a lady's wristwatch, for a girl, you know. And he brings in a wristwatch. So the girls say, oh, my mother, oi, they and my sister, oi, you must think the world of you. Oi, a boy, a foreigner boy, giving a girl first couple of the soya. I says, I am not going to accept it, because if it means something that I'm not going to accept it, I'm not going to go steady. So my sister said to me, you goddamn fool, if he gave it to you, you keep it. You don't give back. You don't hit people's feelings. You don't, all right. So I kept the watch, you know. And of course, the next week, I went out to a picnic with from a club. I belonged to a club with girls and boys, you know. We went out to a club with a bus, you know. And we went out,
Where?
and it was supposed to be in some kind of, God Almighty, who remembers where it is. It's like a farm was supposed to be, and the picnics, you know. And you go to a picnic, and we go there, and rushing on the bus and everything. I must have swing my hand, and I broke up the whole wristwatch, the whole face,
Oh no!
everything.
Oh no!
Oh, there's me, and I didn't notice it. You know, I come home, I'm afraid to tell my mother that I broke that watch, because my sister will say, my sister will call me all name, oi, and what will if look come and ask me, oi, Dave, what is going to be the watch? And I was heartbroken. Finally, I told my mother, I says, listen, I don't know how, what. Sure, you're wild, you run, you're wild. I broke the watch. I said to myself, what am I to do? Putting it away? Will I meet him? You know, want to see if I will or what? I says, no good. I said to myself, one day I meet him. I says, you know, Barney, I had such an accident. He said, what happened? I went up on the bus, and I don't know whether the kids pushed me or what, and I swung my hand on the bar, and the watch got off. Where is the watch? I said, now come on, and I'll give it to you. I give him the watch, and I broken him. He took the watch from me. He went into a watchmaker. He fixed it for me like new. I said to myself, he took off such a lot from my heart. I begin to like him for that alone, because he made things easy for me. No, they should holler at me, because they used to scream and holler at me, what kind of a girl are you, running so wild? And I used to be a wild kid. I used to like running. That was my biggest thing to run. And so he treated me so nice. Anyways, and off and on we were going together. And then I saw he didn't have nothing. I didn't have nothing. Oh, I got disgusted. If he had fun ice cream to buy me, was a lot. He didn't have no money. So every time we went for 5 minutes, then for 5 months, and then we broke off. Why do you break off? Because what is the use? My older sister hasn't got a boyfriend. My older brother hasn't got no girlfriend. They wouldn't let me. So what is the use to schlep, drag with him? I dragged her. And in between the time gone off and on, My older brother found himself a girl and got married. Then my sister, the older one, found herself and got married. And before we looked around, it was about 2.5 years of we keeping company. So he kept on saying to his father, listen, Dad, to his father, I want to get married. So they start scaring him, what are you going to get married? You haven't got no money. Now, sure enough, I never worked in my life, so I didn't have no money. So what was the use to get married? So they say to him, well, you work yourself up while you're working, you'll get raises, and then, probably then, you'll be able to get married. And then we'll save for your money. You'll give us the money to pay, and we'll save for you. But he was smarter. He figured he'll give it away to them. He'll never see it back because it goes in. It's a big family, So anyways, we would each other talk to each other. He said, Bertha, something wrong is gone 3 years. What's the use? The day we were going to haven't got no money, he says. Let's start from scratch. He says, I'm working now. I'm making, I don't know what I was making, $35 or so much I wouldn't be able to think. And he says, let's get an apartment. And let's tell the folks we're going to get married. And I says, all right. We went away, something. And we got ourselves, before we got married, an apartment. And we paid in a little bit to keep us for us, And we went into the stores looking for furniture. We bought it for installment. We show our names. He's working. He's got a job, And I said I wanted a big wedding. I liked a big wedding because I always hear. No, my mother said, fine. They went. And they prepared it. My mother and his sister said she decided she's going to marry June the 22nd. I says, I'll marry July the 3rd. So it'll be a couple of weeks of difference. So she went away, and she had money. She was older than I was. And she had money from before she was working, and her boyfriend had money. But we didn't have nothing. But my father and mother gave me the few dollars to go and buy myself a dress. And I go away and I buy myself a dress, a wedding dress, all by myself. And I walk back from Boston, from the town, walking with the dress. Sure enough, somebody runs over to me and says, "Oi, Bertha, we got bad news for you." I says, "What happened?" "Barney's little brother just got killed." What are you talking about? What is? Oh, Barney's little brother came from school, and he didn't find his mother, and they lived on a top floor. And he didn't find his mother, and he climbed up on the roof with another couple of kids, and they don't know whether he pushed them or he jumped. And they found him between two houses. And his mother and everybody's in the hospital, and they called your Barney, and everybody's in the hospital. The hospital wasn't far from me, but I was even afraid to walk into the hospital because it's myself. Oh, I'll hear the news, I hear it. Sure enough, took about a couple hours. He came back. He says, "Bertha, I'm afraid our wedding is going to be off." He says, because she says, "My sister's wedding is off. My brother just got killed, and it's gone until." I says, "Well, listen, that's the only what can we do." So his sister's wedding was called off. But in Jewish law, you mustn't call off no wedding. You can call off the big affair, but the wedding has got to go through for the day that you made, So she had the house or whatever it is, a wedding. And my mother took together just the family in the house. And I was wearing the wedding dress in the house. In the house was wearing the wedding dress because Mama didn't want me to be disappointed that I shouldn't have. And I had a wedding dress in the house. And we went and we got married. And you know something? We didn't have a penny to go for honeymoon. So instead, we wanted to go home, but I took the rooms. We had everything ready there, So my sister, the older sister, says, "Oh, let's go. I will travel with you." We didn't have no car, so she took us in her car and she took us to Revere Beach. And we were riding around in Revere Beach, She lived in Everett. So after we were riding around, we were tired, exhausted. So she says, "Come to my house," you see. So we came to her house. She took off her mattress from the bed, and she put it on the floor. And all four of us, I and him, and him with the husband, laying on the floor. This was my honeymoon night. You see, Mama, that's the life we had because we didn't have no money. Then after we
had the apartment.
We had the apartment ready, but she insisted that I should go. And I was already in there, and everything. Right. Then the next day, we moved back to my own rooms. As soon as we moved into my rooms, both of us, we come in beautiful. My mother takes sick. What they going to give Mama to build up a little? She's so sick. To my house. I took my mother to my house. I gave her away. I opened up a bottle and put her on the bottle, And sometimes I put her on my bed and I was sleeping on the bottle. I kept my mother for about God knows how many weeks till she got better. Then we brought her back home, And that's the way we struggled along. That was our life, struggling along. But, something, we were young and we took it, because we figured this is the way it's got to be. As long as I had my rent to pay. Yeah, and before I look around, I'm going to have a baby. Today, the pills, they have this, they have that. Years ago, there wasn't what you think of now. It goes away about 3 months. I don't know that I'm pregnant. I go walking around, and I get dizzy. And I walk down from a flight of steps. I fall down the whole flight of steps. The neighbors grabbed me and, "What happened?" I said, "I don't know. I got dizzy. Are you in the family way?" "Oh, no." I didn't know that. "Oh, no, I'm not in the family way." I figured, my goodness. Then I come back and I said to my mother, "Oh, Ma, I don't know what happened to me." She says, "What happened, Ma? Maybe you're going to have a baby." I said, "Well, I don't know. I just didn't get well." But I said, "I don't know." Sure enough, to take me to the doctor. "Oh, yeah, you can have a baby. You're going to have in the 3rd of April, you're going to have a baby." I didn't know what a baby. I didn't know. I was 19, he was 20, I says, "Oh, God, what are you going to do with a baby?" To 9 months, your father was born. And I had such a miserable case. I had a big doctor and everything. But my mother used to say, if you'll eat a lot, you'll gain weight, you'll have strength to have a baby. Who knew? I gained so much weight, and they never put me in a diet. And I was weighing 100, 119, 120 pounds. I was a straight girl, nice build. But after the baby, I was gone with swollen feet. I got I got the kidneys. My kidneys got whatever was there, and what they call it. And they took. Oh yeah, I'm telling you, I had such a habit. And they took you. By the time I was gonna have the baby, he was 8.5 pound baby. So that time I had a big doctor. Somebody recommended me, and I paid him off. But something, that damn doctor, instead taking the baby, and of course taking X-rays and see what the baby like today. But he was trying to take him with instruments, with instruments to me. Instead, give me a cesarean birth. The hell with it. Let's not be serious. How many people have 3? Look at your mother, I had three children with cesarean, but they were beautiful. There wasn't square. No, he wanted me to have a natural case because I was all right. And bend down and the collarbones would bend down. His collarbones.
Oh, really?
Yes, collarbones was bent down. He was laying in bandages. I didn't know. Oh, they brought him out.
That I know.
They couldn't make no
That's
stitches. They couldn't make no stitches because if they make stitches, his eye would be like that. They explained to me. So they better let it by nature, by itself.
Yes.
He lapped, see? So he didn't have no stitches. And they brought him home with bandages all around him. I had to take the bandages and tie it in. And
what did they do to his collarbone?
They dented it, or they dented it by pulling him with the instruments. They dented the collarbone. Oh, what they didn't do to him. When people used to come in to want to see my baby, I was so ashamed, because it was so damaged. He was a good-looking baby, but it was damaged. But thank God, I used to run to doctors, and I used to run everywhere. We used to carry around whatever he gave a squeak with his mouth. I took him to a doctor. I got the doctors crazy because I was afraid maybe he's a discomfort. He grew out of it. You see, I can always straight. He walks in. It's so beautiful to look at.
But my father's the only guy I know. If you stand behind him when he's looking in a mirror, and you see his face in the mirror, it looks like his face is all squashed up on one side. And you look at his face, and it's fine. And you look in the mirror, and his face is all...
Yeah, I can't.
Tomorrow night.
Isn't that something? Yeah. That's what he was telling me. And I really don't know. Maybe
so
it wasn't the...
There's a guy who doesn't really know what he looks like. Because he looks in the mirror, and he sees his face all up like this on one side, but he doesn't really look like that.
Isn't that something? I don't know what I got to blame, because I never noticed it. He himself noticed it.
All the pictures we got of him.
Yeah. All the pictures.
Pictures are good.
Yeah, every one of them. But so you see, but he grew up to be a wonderful. He was so wonderful. He's so good. So God love him, and that's the way, But I said to myself, for 4 years I wasn't going to have no more children because things were bad with us and things. And then when I decided to have Lou, my goodness, that was a depression. I didn't have for nothing. Oh, did I? I didn't have. I had to give the doctor $50 for the confinement case. $50. What's $50? I paid him out the $50 by coming every 2 weeks, every 4 weeks, every month. I paid him out the $50. Then he took me to a hospital where there wasn't a maternity hospital. It was people that had TB, people that had kind of sickness. Because he felt I'm a young girl, I won't be long in the hospital, and it's the cheapest thing to take me in. He took me to a lousy hospital. And oh my goodness, and Lou was an almost 9-pound baby, a beautiful boy.
Another big one.
Another big one. Oh yeah, I had big children because sometimes he was eating a lot. I guess that's what it is.
It was 10-1.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Little teeny Phyllis.
Yeah. Sure.
She was 10
They were carrying around the hospital. They were saying she looked like 3 months old, because she was so big. They had babies from 5 pounds, and 4 pounds.
Twice.
Yeah. Oh, she was a big girl. And and everybody was carrying her around in the hospital. You want to see a girl? You want to see a new born baby? They didn't want to believe it. But her hair, I had an 8 case for the boys. I had but with her already. And also with her, when I went to have her, so one of my sister-in-laws is sister-in-law says to me, Bertha, what do you have to go to private doctors and private hospitals? You can't afford those. Why don't you go to the Boston Lying Hospital? But it doesn't cost you a lot of money. And after all, it's your 3rd baby. Why do you want to go private? I said, she is right. I went away. I was about in the fourth, fifth month. I went away to the Boston Lying Hospital and I come in and I registered. I said, what month are you? I said, I think I'm the fifth month. How come you waited so long? I said, I didn't think I waited so long because after all, I got 2 children. I got 2 boys and I was busy with them. I didn't think, absolutely, it would cost you $59 to have the baby, $59. The doctors with everything. How will you be able to pay the $59 when you come to the 5th month, in the 5th month? How will you be able to pay it? I said, listen, I got $10 right away to pay you. I says, and every time I come for a visit, I'll manage to give you $5, $10. And I'm sure by that time I'll pay it out. No, and they gave me the donation. I went up home and I tell him and I start crying. I said, who sent you there? Why didn't you ask me why you are? Don't go there, they hell with them, go back to your private. I says, no, I started with them, I'm going. The $59, I says, with the hospital they met. You had to be 2 weeks there, 2 weeks. They wouldn't let you, today is 3 days. 2 weeks they keep you. Years ago. They kept you in the bed so that when you walked down, you couldn't walk. Your feet were numb, your hands were numb, they were holding you. Today, the smartest idea, that's why I say today, they're so smart today, with all the things that they do today. So, anyways, I managed to pay out the $59, and they're like,
what you thought what the doctor did to you?
oh yeah, so yeah, as I come into the 5th month, so they give me an examination. So one doctor says, you see, you thought that you're a wise girl by not coming earlier before. He says, you're carrying a briefcase. So what do you mean a briefcase? I don't know what a briefcase is. He says, yes. He says, your child is going with the feet first. Oh, I was very surprised. I said, what am I to do? He says, well, we're not going to wait till you're going to have your baby because it's getting bigger and bigger. We're going to turn that baby around in you. I says, how are you? He says, you'll have to come every 2 weeks and we're going to work on you. I said, all right. I come every 2 weeks, something. And there's about 4 doctors, and one is here, and one is on that side, and one is on that side, and one is here. And they're working to turn that baby around me. For about 15 minutes each time I came there. After they let me off from the table, I wasn't worth 2 cents and payments and everything. Then he says to me, can you take a taxi? You take a taxi to go home. You're not going home by MTA. I said, oh, of course not. I only had a dime to get home. How will I take a taxi to go home? I had a dime to make it to go home, and I lived up on a hill. So high the hill. What can I tell you? Oh, my God. I said, then I'll go down first in the street and get a little fresh air, and then I'll pick up a taxi. Good. And when I was ashamed to tell me I didn't have enough half, I only had 10 cents to go back. I came back home. This is near the table, made supper for me. I wanted to cry, but I didn't want to cry in front of him.